Welcome, everyone. Good, I'm glad I got your attention. Got my attention, too. Welcome to Utah Valley University and the State of the University Address. My name is Jeff Olson. I'm the Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, and I have the privilege of introducing President Tuminez, our speaker. President Tuminez was appointed the 7th President of Utah Valley University on May 25th, 2019. And then she joined us on September 17th after a very distinguished and quite remarkable career as a program officer for the Carnegie Corporation, and then a career in investment banking, and then with the University of Singapore, and then most recently is also international diplomacy in Russia and the Philippines, and then more recently as the head of Microsoft for the 15 nations of Southeast Asia. She has been here on a listening tour for the last 4 months, but also accompanied by very, very dynamic leadership and extensive engagement with the entire university community, attending so many events that I'm not quite sure how she fits them in. And amazingly, her husband and sons have often joined her, and we're grateful for their support as well. So she's very well positioned to provide our State of the University message after having examined it as a newcomer so freshly for now for more than 4 months. So join me in welcoming President Tuminez and turning the time over to her.
Thank you, Jeff, and welcome everybody to my first State of the University address. Now, I remember this room quite well because on May 25, 2018, there was a panel of people here asking me questions. I didn't quite know what to expect from the audience where the whole community was invited. But I don't want to say that I'm visiting a room of trauma. It actually was a wonderful engagement, and it occurred to me that day that this was home. It felt like home, and I was very glad after that interview in this room. It was an hour, a day later or something, I got the phone call that I was selected as president of Utah Valley University. So the first thing I want to say is thank you. Thank you to you who are here today. Thank you to my team who supported me in my first 4 months on this job. Thank you to a community that has really welcomed me very, very warmly. As you know, my 100 days of listening tour, that's over, and I don't ever have to listen to any of you again. I thought I'd begin with the bad news. But really, the 100 days listening tour is metaphorical. I think good leaders and great leaders succeed because they never stop listening. My husband is here in the first row. He might tell you that I never listen, but I am improving all the time. I have learned a lot. I have changed since August 2, the day that I moved back to Utah. I have changed a lot. I have learned a lot, and I continue learning. And I think that the insights that I've learned from all of you have helped me kind of navigate and make sense. There's a lot of sense making to be made when you land in a place that's new, and you have to settle your family, and you have to learn to drive, and other things. So thank you so much. I know that what we do here, day in, day out, it only works because each of us is carrying our load and helping one another. It is an interesting time to be in the field of higher education. If you read the Chronicle of Higher Education, or US News and World Report, or Inside Higher Ed, or any other publications out there, you might get a little bit discombobulated and a little bit depressed about the things they're writing about higher education. And yet my reaction to that is that change and disruption is all good because it spells opportunity. It spells opportunity for those who are willing to step up, who are unafraid to question the way they've always done things, who are unafraid to have honest discussions. So we, in higher education today, live in a world of opportunity. It is also an interesting time in the world in general. And I spoke to business school students the other day, and I talked to them about the fourth industrial revolution. Some might say that it's only the second, but when we think about the 1700s and how water and steam changed everything and led to the creation of a machine called the locomotive that could outrun the horse. And it changed the way people lived, the way they worked, the way they played and did everything in their lives. And fast forward a couple hundred years later, we had the microprocessor in the 20th century. And today, we have the cloud. We have the cloud. I don't know how many of us are aware of how the cloud is revolutionizing everything. Because massive computing power is now in the hands of practically every single person. And you can buy much more computing power if you have a credit card. So this is an amazing world. It has implications physically, biologically, digitally. We are seeing things like the 3D printers and driverless cars. In biology, we're seeing the evolution and development of genomics-based medicine. It cost $100 million to sequence the first genome. Today, it probably costs only thousands of dollars, and you can sequence many genomes in one day. So the magnitude of change is huge. And I believe that many barriers have come tumbling down. Barriers to communication, barriers to competition, barriers to marketing, barriers to education. There are new business models out there, the Airbnbs of the world and others, that have upended traditional modes of doing business. So it's an interesting time to be in higher education, and it's an interesting time in the world in general. Is my daughter in the audience? She's working at Gurus. Anyway, that's her. The job that she wants, I think, hasn't been invented yet because she dropped out of Columbia University after one semester. But her generation, and those of us who are parents and grandparents, our children and grandchildren, will live in a world we don't yet understand. 65 to 85% of jobs that these generations will have do not yet exist. And if you go back to 1905, when 25% of American agricultural output was used to feed horses, and then the automobile came around, and everyone in the horse feeding business kind of lost their jobs. So we're going to enter and see more and more of that type of phenomenon in the next years and in the coming decades. A lot of this disruption is also driven by the age of AI. Today, I am kind of AI. I have an antenna in my back, and it's kind of poking me. But this picture here is a report that says prioritizing humans in the age of artificial intelligence. Anything that machines can do better than us will be done by machines. That is, I think, a true proposition. And as I think about this as a university president, it doesn't make me think like, oh, we got to stop educating people now. Because, you know, we're just going to let all the machines do the job. Actually, we need people more. And I've mentioned in other parts of this university, other settings, that when I was working at Microsoft and we were doing a lot of thinking about AI and how to educate governments about it, the position that we took was that you needed more people trained in humanities. Because all of a sudden, ethics will be so important. All of a sudden, empathy will be even more important. And how you train machines and how you train their algorithms to have empathy, to have transparency, those things will be even more important. So what I want to say to you is, despite all the bad things being written about higher education, let us remember that what we are doing is ever more relevant, and what we do at UVU is specifically more relevant, and I'll explain in a second. I have 3 messages that I want you to take away from my report today, and you will not be quizzed, don't worry. The first message that I want to share is that we are building on a strong foundation, and there are many things that we can rightly celebrate here and now today. We celebrate what's gone on before us. President Holland and the others came before him, and what they built. The Holland era is particularly important because, as you know, that's when that transformation happened from a community college to a comprehensive university, and that's not an easy thing to do. And I asked myself, if I were to summarize what happened then, you know, people, better people, hiring of more faculty, new programs, new buildings, bigger budgets. If we didn't have a budget, this university couldn't have transformed. That's why I came here and saw a campus that I did not recognize, and I was so impressed by what had happened here. So we celebrate that. We also celebrate our dual mission. And I understand that people have different definitions of the dual mission. So for those of you who are here today, I expect you to be the dual mission ambassadors. Dual mission means community college, and a comprehensive university under one roof. There are a few institutions like us in the United States, but when you whittle down to certain characteristics, we are really quite unique as a university. So we are building on this dual mission, and it's a foundation that we can celebrate. And this dual mission, in my opinion, is the right way to do education in the 21st century. I remember a decade ago reading an article about what genius meant from this magazine that I get from Harvard University. And it talked about people who are able to do science or teach science, and at the same time, they're concert pianists. And now the fields have all melded together. And what's amazing about what we do here is, first of all, we are open enrollment. And so we say to everybody, come here, we have a place for you, and we will help you move closer towards your ambitions, and maybe even help you define those ambitions. Because maybe you're coming back to school after a 15-year hiatus, or maybe you don't really know what you're going to major in. But look at the richness of our offerings. And this is what I call a non-prejudicial approach to education, that you can come here. You're going to learn woodworking. And then you might want to do a degree in marketing. And then later on, you may practice that for 10 years and be something else and return again to UVU. I am proud of this, and this is a great, great part of the foundation we are celebrating. Our enrollment is growing. I don't want to say anything more about this, but the point here is the market has a voice, and despite the naysayers, the market is saying, we believe in what UVU is offering. We believe that we can get a good education here, and we will go to UVU. And then what we are doing with education, too, foundationally, is keeping costs under control. We are not the cheapest, and we are not the most expensive, and I think that's a great, great place to be. What we are doing here is value. So it's not enough we can race to the bottom and be really, really, really cheap. That is one way to market ourselves. But if you look at states that are the cheapest in the country, I have to tell you that you don't want to be really in that company, because they are not the fastest growing states. They're not the most prosperous parts of the United States. And so keeping it affordable, and then looking at our graduation rates. Our enrollment did not increase 86%. Our graduation rate did. And so that's something to celebrate. And I'll talk about how much more work we need to do in that, on that matter later. It is also really great that the largest increase among our students are in the junior and senior cohorts, which means that people are persisting. They're not giving up. They're coming back. And once you get to the junior year, it is easier to make your way to the senior year and easier to get to that graduation point, to completing the degree that you came here to do. We are also very committed, as you know, to inclusion and diversity. And in fact, when I visited the website of UVU to decide whether or not I was going to apply for this job, this is one of the things that caught my attention. Today, we live in a United States where the current adult generation is 44% minority. This is now the most diverse adult generation ever in the United States of America. Our numbers in terms of enrollment and graduation reflect that our approach and our support for inclusion and diversity is working. I will not say any more, just read the numbers, more awards given out. This one I love. So when higher education is criticized because it's too expensive and the debt burden is too high, we have to look at our model. When somebody invests $30,000 here in the course of their education, what's the return on that investment? When the federal government gives us grants, what's the return on that investment? This measurement only looks at students who receive federal aid. And what's great about that is that means we are reaching the people who need higher education the most. If you look at the chart, it is a measure, the ratio of the salary of graduates compared to the cost overall of their education after they've received grants. And we are the best in the state of Utah. So can we please clap? It's always nice to be the best. This investment pays, and any person who questions this, please take this slide, take a picture, and then share it with them. We are also really blessed because of location. Location, location, location. jobs growth, wage growth, the most stable and strong state. I believe last year Utah was #1 in 2018 for jobs growth. And what's great about that is we can say that our people actually have somewhere to go when they graduate. And we know that within a year after graduation, 85% of UVU graduates stay in the state of Utah and work here and pay taxes here and build lives here. 10 years out, about 78% of our graduates are still here in the state of Utah. We have Silicon Slopes, and I don't want that to become a cliche, but when you have an exit like Qualtrics, magnitudes of difference from the last big exit, which was Vivint, $2.5 billion, to Blackstone. And now you have a Qualtrics that's able to persuade SAP, you know, we are worth $8 billion. Think about that. So in the next Silicon Slopes conference at the end of the month, there will be 25,000 people participating here in Utah because they're interested in what makes us tick. Legislative support. I know sometimes we complain about the legislature, but let us remember that other states have much lower support from their legislature. So we are still benefiting. We are still thriving because 45% of our budget, our legislature believes in us. They passed that measure 10 years ago to turn this into a full-fledged university, and they are supporting us, and let's hope that that continues. We have much to celebrate with our students. I will tell these stories very quickly. ROTC, Rangers. Anyone knows anything about this? This is a team competition, very tough. You must assemble and disassemble weapons. You have to do academic stuff. I don't know. You have to run across rivers, et cetera, et cetera. We won in Colorado. We went to Texas. We won in Texas. And now we're going to West Point to compete. And this is led by a woman, Gwyneth Simons. I haven't met her, but kudos to her for the discipline and her tracking of all the data on what her team is good at and what they need to do better. We have Dee Flittermouse, who went. Yay, and my husband and I said that was better than any operetta we saw at Harvard. Our dance team has won #1, first place in the varsity association, dance association. And they were competing in Division I. They just won this just a couple of days ago. Our Saudi club has beaten 300 other Saudi clubs in the country to get a second place citation from the embassy. Our students were very involved in our MLK Day. They're very engaged. I was part of that. And then this is our social innovation team that competed in the United States. You take a problem, you study it, you write a paper, then you present to a panel of judges that come from Ashoka, big foundation that I know very well, Skoll Foundation, Ernst & Young. We won first place in the US, went to Oxford, and we won 4th place there, beating 470 other colleges and universities that competed. So, yes. And the problem that they looked at is the problem of inversion in Utah. So something very current, something very relevant, something that affects all of us. We punch above our weight, so we celebrate our students. Our faculty, amazing things have been happening. How many of you have bought Chef Todd's seasoning in the bookstore? So Chef of the Year in the American Culinary Federation. Our Professor Eric Domian, working with students, did the penguin paternity research that was featured in the New York Times. Our Professor Benjamin Evgen, and I hope I haven't murdered his name, got the Listus Artist in Residence in Iceland. And what he did over 2 months was develop tools and toys for children whose parents and caregivers suffer from epilepsy. So creativity and relevance. Our superstars are these 2 professors here today, Russell and Jessica. Jessica Hill is back there, Russell Warren. Come on, come on. That is amazing. I mean, you know, as an Asian, I have to do that. 4,000 articles in psychology, in the field of psychology, 4,000 scholarly articles published last year. And the 8th most downloaded article, come on, UVU. And what I love about that article is it shows all these errors in psychology textbooks for college students, that they're being taught wrong stuff about human intelligence. So it's not just the number that we are the 8th most downloaded, but again, the implications of what was done in that paper. Our arts faculty, I had the privilege of attending opening night. That was wonderful, and there will be more of this to come. And Dean David McIntyre, who got an award from the Emergency Management Higher Education Symposium for his scholarship on emergency management. So in terms of teaching and engaged scholarship, our professors are delivering. And we're not only good at dancing, academics, we're really good in athletics too. And I am a little hoarse right now because before coming here, I went to the women's basketball game for about 35 minutes. And I should not really be going to these games before I give a big talk. They were 8 points behind. And then I was there for the first 10 minutes. They recovered, and they were 6 points ahead. I'm looking at my clock. I had to go. They were 2 points behind. I mean, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. That's what's going to happen. So athletics, you know, our wrestling team, we had a tough Friday. Last Friday, lost to Fresno State. I think we lost our ranking in the top 25, but we were 21 at one point. We can recover. Men's basketball, we had a second longest winning streak on home court, 22 games. Women's basketball has done very well too, depending on what happened today. Even rodeo, I haven't been yet. I hope somebody invites me. I think our women were second, men were third. Women's volleyball, we made it all the way to the championship. We lost, but we were invited for the first time to the National Invitational in volleyball. Now, the surprise to me as university president is how much I would take to athletics. Honestly, in the old days, I was like everybody else that said, why are we doing this athletics? It has a very personal impact on me, very personal. I scream, I jump, I cry, I lose my pom-poms. You know, things happen. Things happen to me at these games. What I love the most is watching the teams recover, and never give up until it's over, and then watching different people play hero. I watch various types of meltdowns in these competitions, and to see the person who steps up is always different. And then I ask myself, you know, am I prepared? When the time comes, if I have to be that hero. Academically, our student athletes have done very well. In the last 3 years, 95% of our eligible student athletes have finished their degrees. And the lessons they've learned here, the coaching they've received here, is not so much about the game as it is about life. So I also applaud what they do. And let's give a round of applause to Jeff Olson, please. Sometimes people ask me if my job is hard. And sometimes I feel sorry for myself. Oh, my job is so hard. Honey, I haven't slept. And then I look at Jeff and I think that job is really hard. And it is. It is really, really hard. And you see the numbers on this board. Our transformation and our foundation is where it is because in the last 5 years, Jeff has done a great job of what he had to do for us, for our foundation as a university. So thank you, Jeff. The arts are blooming at UVU. Melanie, the late Melanie Laycock Bastian's mansion, Lakemount Manor, her 4 sons did us an amazing honor to reach out to the community, to reach out to us, and then to say that both the community and we at UVU will benefit from having this mansion as a new gathering place where we will look at art, we will make art, we will talk about art. The children will benefit from this, the neighborhood will benefit from this, and the house itself is a work of art. And in addition to this, we have our Norda Performing Arts Center, which as you know is already open. And March 23, 24 will be the beginning of that Week of Dreams, where we will see many performances, and my own inauguration will be in this building. When I listened to Newell Daly, the former dean of the School of the Arts, and the vision, and he cried when he talked about this, because it is not easy to ask people today to give millions of dollars for the arts. We did it. It is there. It's a gleaming, beautiful space, 7 performance spaces, and we will make the most of it. We have just announced our revised medical maternity leave and our thank you. You know, I'm really glad this is not like the State of the Nation where only one side is clapping. Thank you. I think we can all agree this is the right thing to do. This was and is the right thing to do. On my second day in this job, I had that talk with Tuminez, and one of the questions posed to me was about this. If we really value families and children, we have to do the right thing. I am a mother of 3 children, so I am so happy about this. Linda, thank you to you and your team and everybody else, General Counsel, who helped us make this happen. Now, just looking at the clock, I got to make sure I have enough time. So, to repeat that first message, we are building on a strong foundation, and we have much to celebrate. So let's be happy. Let's smile. We have a lot to celebrate at Utah Valley University. Now, changing the theme a little bit, we have many opportunities ahead. This means that our work is not done, and I don't think it will ever be done. We're never done. This is a journey. And I have posed during my listening tour the question to people in different settings, what is your game changer? Some things are okay to tinker with. If you want to make a big change, you make a big change. And I think my biggest lesson for this was the time that I spent at Microsoft. When I joined the company, Steve Ballmer was the CEO, and he was a great CEO in his own way, but there was a little bit of disconnect with where the audience had gone. And the new CEO came in, born and raised in Hyderabad, India, but had worked for Microsoft for 22 years. And the first thing he says to all of us is, our culture must change. And then he said, form factors come and go. We don't have to envy the iPhone. And then he said, let us have an intelligent opinion of our own on technology. And I watched him get rid of the mobile phone, write off a $7 billion investment in Nokia, change the culture. When I joined Microsoft, the stock price was $32 a share. When I left, it was $112 a share. That's the kind of change, the value to the people who depended on that company, and the enterprises, all of the users, all the audiences. So that was amazing to watch. And so the game changer, that leader identified the game changer. So we have game changers that we need to focus on. Of course, foremost is an excellent teaching, engaged scholarship, and creative work. This is not to say that we're not doing this. We are doing amazing things, and I actually brought a cheat sheet. Our Office of Teaching and Learning is doing a lot to help our teachers improve pedagogy and get recognized for the work that they do. Our business school mentored our CFA takers last year, Chartered Financial Analyst exam. My husband is a CFA. It takes 3 years to become a CFA. And in some ways, that credential may be better than an MBA. It's a rocket scientist kind of credential. The passing rate in the CFA exam level 1 from 2014 to 2018 in this country is 43%. Guess what was our passing rate for level 1 last year? 100%. 100%. And that is thanks to our teachers who engage. We have a group of students who studied the impact of NGOs, non-governmental organizations, in 4 countries, including Ghana and the Philippines. And Ghana was so pleased with that study that they've asked our students to mentor all 7,000 non-profits, NGOs, in the country of Ghana. That's a massive, massive vote of confidence in what we do. Our College of Science, I see Dean Fairbanks in the audience, 150 students engaged in research with 40 projects and 40 professors mentoring. And what I loved most about reading about that was one project was actually about tsunami preparedness in Indonesia. I have a special love for that country because I love Bali so much. And because I have spent many, 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 many days and weeks in that country, and they have 260 million people, and I love them to death, and they frustrate me to death. I think I've told the story of how I had to get to the airport in Jakarta, 16 miles from the Fairmont Hotel. It took me 5 hours. That's why my frustration can be really high with Indonesia. But they are a country of tremendous heritage and history and talent. And to read that our students and our professors had been there doing this kind of research, collecting this kind of data, and eventually giving this kind of insight that will really impact the lives of Indonesians is amazing to me. I also have to talk about our fine arts, because I own the books, the fine arts book series. They did one on England, I think one on the canyons, and one on the Civil War. These are great gifts. I give this to people and tell them, our students did this with faculty mentoring. Butterfly Biosphere over in Thanksgiving Point. I think this was a data analytics thing where people move. What do they show? What do they talk about? Do they motion others to come over, et cetera? Again, a great example of contributing to the economy using our scholarship and using our teaching and using our students. What I want to say, too, is that I visited our Capitol Reef Station. I think this is a picture here. We have a new classroom building at Capitol Reef Field Station. We are one of only 9 universities with this kind of facility. So I would urge in teaching and learning that we take more advantage of this space. I understand last year we had 500 students who used it, and that's wonderful. But this space could be used for the sciences, for the arts, for business. It's such an amazing space. I would encourage us to keep moving forward. Be innovative, take risks, make it exciting, make the students' curiosity explode because of the things that we are doing in the classroom and the ways that we do research and involve our students. This is a game changer for us. We have invested more in faculty. We're going to maintain the ratio that 55% of our courses will be taught by full-time faculty. And the point at the end of all the teaching is that we do need to work harder on our completion and graduation rate. We are presently at 36.5%. And when I am in some forums, I hear no end of this. Our trajectory is actually going the right way. So if you look at this chart, this green cohort, we are ahead of where we were in the past when you look at every cohort entering this university. An 8-year span is about normal for us. It's 150% in my opinion because the 2 years are often spent on missions. So what's 150% for everybody else is 6 years. For us it's 8%, it's 8 years. Our trajectory is right, but we have a lot of work to do. And the 45% graduation rate is a public commitment within the Utah system of higher education. This is my commitment. This is the commitment of my leadership team, my cabinet. This must be the commitment of all of us. When we do what we do every day, we have to ask, am I hindering or am I facilitating? Am I hindering or am I facilitating the students' pathways towards completing their degrees so that we can not only hit 45%, but actually surpass that? And I want to mention some specific work going on campus. One is the Committee on Re-envisioning the Undergraduate Experience. And here we have the first-year center that has already been announced. This is a collaborative effort between our academic affairs and Office of Student Affairs. I think the best kind of collaboration where we are trying to strategically address the biggest leak in the pipeline. The biggest leak in the pipeline from the 30 credits freshman to sophomore, that's the spot where intervention is needed. So we are changing some things. I hope we can be patient with these changes. I hope that we can support these changes, knowing that a lot of thought has gone into that, and also support the ongoing work of the Committee on Re-envisioning Undergraduate Education, which is looking at high-impact practices. It is looking at pathways. We must re-examine our curriculum so that when our students start, we can look at what they're doing from the lens of a community college and know that what they're taking in the first year, if they take a break or they have to work or they're having children, they can return and there is an articulated path from what they've already done and invested in into that associates, into that bachelor's degree, into that master's degree. Math and English has been a lot of discussion about that. So the first-year seminar is another thing that our Committee on Re-envisioning the Undergraduate Education is considering. I'm excited about that. I have yet to see the final recommendations. But whatever is in the end decided, I want to say to us that there will be change. There will be change, and we need to have our honest conversations and ask ourselves, what do we do in order to help make the change happen, in order to make the game changer happen, and in order to arrive at where we want to arrive. Digital transformation is another game changer. Thanks to Jeff, we have now organized our digital transformation task force. There's wonderful representation from all parts of the university, and we have a consultant working with us who actually led digital transformation at Notre Dame University. At the end of the day, what digital transformation is not, it's not about plunking money and you don't know where it's going to go. It's about defining what it is we want to do and how we use technology better to do the things that we want to do faster, better, and more effectively. There are things that we need, like the constant feedback that students need, or multiple modalities for teaching. All of that could be facilitated by digital transformation. And I've seen this happen with my own son, who was a high school student in Singapore, where at any time it's a continuous interaction between him and his teachers. And sometimes it worked wonderfully, sometimes it didn't, but the technology was there to help facilitate all of that. So simplicity, productivity, security, these are all the things that we expect from digital transformation. And in April, the task force will have its report defining the principles that will guide us, and also a rough roadmap on where we might start in order to have some early successes. Fundraising, money makes the world go round, or in that ABBA song, money, 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 lots of honey. We need this, and I've looked at the public universities with, who fundraise very well. So the first thing to say is, look, congratulations to our team for doing this. You see that we have been doing things right. We are growing. Scott Cooksey is here, who leads institutional advancement. But we need this. We need this. We need a bigger endowment. So throwing out some numbers, if we discover oil in Utah, we could be like the University of Texas system with $26.5 billion. If we live in the great state of California, we could be like the California system with $10 billion. Or maybe we just go to Ohio, where I don't know what they did, but they have $4.5 billion, Ohio State University. Or the University of Washington, UW, $2.5 billion. Please give me just $500 million, I'll take it. This is so important because this is what will allow us to give more scholarships and more financial aid. This could be a buffer in hard times. This could be used for compensation, faculty recruitment, supporting teaching, supporting engaged scholarship. This is what we need. And the rumor is not true that UVU now only takes 10 million and up. We take any amount, but help me and my leadership team think through this. What is it in your college, or who in your college and your alumni could get us closer to that point where I would like to have $500 million in endowment at UVU? Leadership is also a game changer, how we improve leadership in this university. There is always, I know that President Holland liked to use the term continuous improvement. So in the spirit of continuous improvement, we have renamed some groups. So the Vice President's Council is gone. It's called the Cabinet. Our PELC, Presidential Executive Leadership Council, is gone. It's called the University Executive Council. Now, this is not cosmetic. We actually spent a really rigorous, we spent time in rigorous conversation with PELC to ask what has been the greatest contributions of PELC, what could it have done better, what does it want its role to be. So in leadership, you need strategy, vision, and execution. You need buy-in into key decisions. You need communication. You need ownership. And then our shared governance, which is getting stronger and stronger, and I'm very grateful for UVUSA, for PACE, and the Faculty Senate for working with me and my team. We have 300 committees, and I don't mind if those of you in committees want to review what your committee is doing and whether you want to retire it or revamp it or expand it and double it. We have some new strategic hires. Our Chief Inclusion and Diversity Officer full-time for the first time, Belinda Otukolo-Saltiban, is over there. Our Associate VP for Human Resources is coming on board on February 1. And then, of course, we are also out in the market for a new Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs. What is important about leadership is commitment and clarity, where we are not afraid to have honest conversations with one another, where we are not afraid to commit to having high impact, where we are not afraid to say what failed and let's learn from that failure, where we are not afraid to say, you're not thriving here at UVU, I need to go someplace else, or I need to thrive more at UVU, and here are 3 things I need to ask my manager to help me do, or I need to ask the president if this is possibly something she could support. So those are the conversations that we need to have, and then discipline at the end of the day in what we commit to doing. So my last and final message is that we will be pivoting our mission, our values, and action commitments, and we will do teamwork more effectively so that our ambitions will be realized. When I first looked at the mission statement of UVU, I kind of had to read it. I'm being very candid. I kind of had to read it 3 or 4 times to get exactly what this mission was. And I came up with about 12 to 14 items. And one of the things that I've been puzzling about is how to simplify. And so together with the cabinet, we have drafted the mission. This is a draft, and thank you to the few of you who have already looked at this and given feedback. I appreciate it. So it is an effort at simplification, and there are 2 sentences in this draft mission statement. I think the first sentence is enough, but in order to pass muster with our stakeholders, the second sentence about our dual mission is really important to add. So read it. Give it 10 seconds. If you're having an allergic reaction, don't panic. It's a draft. We will be talking more about this. But the idea is, can anyone remember the mission statement and be able to say it? And what was important for me to convey here is that student success, so if you look at that first sentence, student success remains at the core of what we do. And student success is defined, this is what we're all about, the terminal degrees that our students get and the people they become because they spent 6 months here or 2 years here or 6 years here or 8 years here. And this slide has some amazing stories of student success. Monique Barr, who now works for us, she was a person with some college, no degree, and she realized that when her children were grown up, she would never be able to advance in her own life without having the degree. And she suffered from a speech tremor, came to UVU and said, I will sit in the back and keep quiet the whole time I'm at UVU. But because we were inclusive, because we engaged her, she has succeeded, I think, above and beyond what she expected. My nephew-in-law, Fabio Sajibin, who thought he was a construction worker and enrolled here, didn't think it was college material, graduated in biology because he was mistakenly enrolled in a biology class, and just accepted his first job as a cardiothoracic surgeon in Irvine, California. Tristan Mazu went to our aviation school, is now a pilot for SkyWest, and also teaches at flight school. And he's also a beauty spokesperson for Olay. Come on, this is what UVU does. It's so exciting. I can fly a plane. I'm going to be your Olay woman, too. So, Jason Terry majored in accounting. But last week, out of the blue, I got a letter from Professor James Anthony of the Harvard Graduate School of Education. Dear President Tuminez, you don't know me. I'm from the Harvard Graduate School of Education, but I just want you to know that I have a student named Jason Terry. He is so impressive. He is so impressive that I just want you to know that, and I hope that he may return someday to UVU to give back. But the fact that this professor went out of his way, amazing. Don't tell me her name, Maddie Hanks. Came from a single mother household. She came here. I can't remember now what she majored in, but she's one of our graduate students who is now studying for a PhD in counseling psychology at Auburn University. So she's overcome odds in her life. This is Rick Nelson, twice mayor of Payson. This guy is a visionary, and he has a sense of urgency about everything because 2 months after Matt Holland became president, he was telling Matt Holland, you need a campus in Payson. And today, how many acres do we have in Payson? We don't have campus, but we have land. 30? 30 acres. He majored in refrigeration, worked for his family's business, and then launched his own company. And then Noelle Pica Space, she is a skeleton racer, studied, I think, health sciences or healthcare. Who knows here what is skeleton racing? Okay, you are much better educated than I am. I understand that you must dive head first. Is that right? On this narrow sled? I don't know why people do that, honestly. But just to say, she competed in the Vancouver Winter Olympics and won a silver medal in the Olympics in Sochi, in Russia. So on top of all this, our students also become scholars. Within 3 years of graduation, nearly 1/3 of our graduate students pursue higher education, and look where they go. We have 944 students in the top 100 schools in the United States, and we have students in the top 20. These are only US schools. We do not include Oxford and Cambridge in this count. So our ambitions, our students' ambitions are big. They are big, and they move on, and we are very, very proud of them. Now, as we pivot, as we celebrate what we've already done in our transformation, especially during the Holland years, as we look at the opportunities ahead of us and the work that remains to be done, how do we pivot? I think we begin with our culture. And there are words on this slide that many of you may have heard because I used them in many, many sessions during my listening tour. These words are important because these are the values that I would like us to build our culture on. Values are important because they inform what we're going to think, what we're going to say, and how we're going to act. They are going to inform whether we can be consistent or inconsistent with what we say we are all about and what we actually do in the day-to-day. We begin with care. We begin with that phrase, I see you. And I know that's from Avatar. I'm borrowing it, but I understand Africans use it too. That I see you, that I see Jeff Olson here, that I see the department head I'm talking to, that I see my presidential intern, that I see the mothers who are working on campus. We have to see one another and care about one another in real ways. Secondly, it is not enough to care. I've learned being a parent, it's not enough to care. I have to hold myself and my children accountable for what we said we're going to do and what they own, what I own, so that we can work together in better and better ways. There was pushback on the word accountability from some parts of campus. I have returned to UPAC to explain why we stuck with accountability, because there was a lot of support as well for this word. This word is not here to scare us. This word is not here to tell us we're going to be fired. This word is to tell us that there is great work we need to do, and we can do it. And we can have those conversations. We can have clarity on what is expected of us. We can have clarity on where resources will come from and what we will have to, what the impact that we have to deliver. The third value is results. So when we care and we are accountable, we should always be punching above our weight, as we've already seen from the stories that I've told about our faculty and about our students. And when we build on these values, what happens is we have to have our action commitments, the actions that will flow from our values. If you recall, President Holland had 3 words that he used over and over again: inclusive, engaged, and serious. Do you all remember that? Please raise your hand. And in those years, there were metrics under inclusive, under engaged, under serious. This is going to be the same exercise because we believe in exceptional care, accountability, and results. We will include, we will engage, and we will achieve. And these are conversations that we will have to have as to what these things mean, what will be measured, how we're going to do it. I will pause for a second on engage, because in the past there was a lot of doing in engaged learning and engaged research. That will continue. But what I also mean by engage is that as we come to UVU every day, as students, as staff, as faculty and administrators, that we bring our best selves, our best energy, our best ambitions, and our best commitment to getting our work done. And we're not going to be passive. We will be here with our best selves every single day. I only have 3 more slides. We're about to end. I came to UVU to dream more and achieve more. But I want to be very clear that this story is not about me. This is one of the most exciting moments in UVU men's basketball this year that I've attended. And what you saw in that clip is really this. The word bayanihan in the Philippines means heroism. And it comes from the tradition of helping people move. So you literally lift their hut in the village and transfer it to another village. But when I say heroism and heroes, this is not about someone with a big ego being a hero. Because every single day that we serve, we are heroes. And what I learned in that basketball game and the play that you just saw, that sophomore, Richard Harward, he was the hero. He had not been consistently the hero in other games, but this evening he was the hero, and they did it. And the story of UVU is the story of all of us. I put a question there, which I got from a Malcolm Gladwell podcast about higher education and how to create human capital, how to capitalize human talent. And he poses this question: what percentage of those who are capable of achieving something actually achieve it? And he makes the case that it is not about raw, hard talent. By the 8th grade, in some parts of California, everyone is in a gang. And that raw talent that you see in 4th grade has either died or is barely sputtering. And so we need, with intentionality, with commitment, we need to answer this question and say, it's a high percentage. We believe in it. We can each be heroes. We have values that we believe in. We have actions that we commit to. We have resources. We have much to celebrate. And we will go forward. And so, as Captain Picard said, let's go. Engage, actually, is what he said. Engage. Let's go get the work done. Thank you very much. We have 5 minutes maybe for questions, if anybody would like to ask a question. I've exhausted all of you. I'm sorry. Yes. Numbers.
I just had one question about the 2025 goal for 45% graduation.
Yes.
So as a local high school student here, I've had a UVU number for quite some time now. Does my number, because I've had that for so long, is that counting against our metrics, or is that just students who are enrolled full-time or part-time on campus?
This is across the board, the 45%. That number is all of our completions from, are we counting certificates, Jeff?
So we take
associates?
one cohort, we follow them for 8 years.
Okay.
And associates or bachelors.
So from associates, bachelors, do we count our graduate students too?
Just undergraduate.
Just undergraduate. So let me repeat the answer because Jeff's more knowledgeable. Associates and bachelors, following them within an 8-year time frame. So our commitment, so this cohort that entered this year is the 2018 to 19 cohort. So 8 years later, we have to have the 45%, but 2025 is the commitment year within the Utah system of higher education. When I looked at this number, I actually asked others who have been here longer, is this a crazy number? Is this achievable? And the response that I got is, it is achievable, and if we do what we need to do right, we may even surpass that number. So the highest graduation rate in the state is University of Utah at about 70, I believe 70%. The retention rate, freshman to sophomore, is about 82%, so much higher. What I believe is that our interventions that started even before I came here, We have to sustain those and then the additional interventions. And then we really need to have the discipline of seeing what works, what is making a difference. And we're already building on trajectories that are really good, like the persistence of juniors and seniors. I hope that helps clarify the question. Other comments or questions? All right, thank you again. Carry on. Let's do more. Let's do better. Thank you.